So when I got here this morning, or shortly after I got here this morning, I really got the message. It's time to release the blockage that's keeping us from the flow of our abundance. I mean, what greater message could there be than that? So before I start, can you hear me okay? Before I start, I want to tell you a story about Emily. And Emily was 3 years old, and her family was having a little financial challenge. And so it was the day before Christmas, and she was sitting on the floor, and she was wrapping a box in gold foil paper. And her father got quite irritated with her because, you know, that's very expensive, and don't you waste that paper. And she just continued to wrap the package. Well, the next morning was Christmas, and so she gave her dad, it was for you, Daddy, and she gave him this gold package. And he was feeling a little guilty about how he had spoken out to her the day before. So he unwrapped the package and he looked inside, and there was nothing in it. And so then he was really incensed. Then he said to her, "Don't you know? You don't give people a package with nothing inside." She said, "But Daddy, look again. I filled it with kisses just for you." So Daddy felt pretty bad, and he took her in his arms and he begged her forgiveness. Well, not shortly after that, Elsie was killed, and so every day he would get that box out and take one of those kisses to remind himself of the giving and the loving of his little daughter. So today's talk is about prosperity. And last night, just coincidentally, I saw a little clip of Louise Hay, and she's talking about prosperity. And she's saying that prosperity is not necessarily money. There are all kinds of ways that we experience prosperity. If you have all the time in the world and you know you can get everything done, you are prosperous and abundance in time. If you believe that you can be successful, you are prosperous in success. If you can be the love you choose to be in the world and be loving to those around you and receive love from those around you, you are prosperous in love. If you can greet each morning joyfully and move through the day in happiness, you are prosperous in joy. There are so many ways to be prosperous, and our container for our prosperity is our consciousness, and we get to choose how large that container gets to be. We can have a thimble, we can have a bucket, we can have the ocean. However large we choose for our container to be is how prosperous we get to choose to be. Now, Eric Butterworth says in the preface to Spiritual Economics, there is a great need to establish ourselves in those things which are conducive to prosperity. And he coined a word, he called it wealthful. Many of us heard of being healthful, but how about being wealthful? Are you wealthful? Are you? What does that mean to you? What does prosperity look like? What does it feel like? He shares with Emerson the idea that we are all born to be rich. We are all born to grow in prosperity and to grow our riches by using the faculties, our God-given faculties. He further says, when we are experiencing lack, we are not living in the truth of our fullness. We are not stepping in to the truth of our being. Charles Fillmore, who is the founder of Unity, taught that when we establish ourselves in the consciousness of God, prosperity flows in and through and to us with the abundance of life. So what does it mean to you to establish yourself in the consciousness of God? Well, to me, it means that each one of us is an individualized source of the divine when we open our minds and our hearts and allow that wisdom to flow through us, that we become a co-creator with God. And if you look out at, I heard there's like 20 trillion universes. That is the vastness of God, and we have all of that and more at our disposal. It's up to us to choose to allow that divine to flow through us. Now, I have an idea of who I am, and I have an idea of who you are. and probably it's not the truth of any of us. I have created a box in which I have put myself, and this is my reality. And so I choose to be exactly what I have set myself up to be. It's all in my thought. And if I choose to do something different, I can step out of that box, and so can you. So do each of us have the ability to love unconditionally? Can we step out of that box and not look at how they are to us or what they've done to us? And can we truly love people unconditionally? That doesn't mean we have to like them. We do need to love them unconditionally. We learn our belief systems as little children, don't we? And we get it from all kinds of sources. We get it from our parents. We get it from our teachers. We get it from our peers. We get it from TV and social media. That's where we get what we think we are. So I can choose differently. Louise Hay says that we get to look back in our life and to notice how many things we've done repeatedly, the pattern that we have, the box that we're in, and we can choose to let that go. We can choose to let that go. We actually, all of us, each and every one of us, we choose the limitations that we have. That sounds a little harsh, doesn't it? But our thinking, it's how we think. We have these thoughts about what we can do and what we can't do, and we choose our own limitations. But the truth of our being is we are actually pure potentiality, that we can co-create, we can change our life, we can become whatever it is we choose to be, and we can have what we want to have if we allow God to express itself through us. That's quite an idea, isn't it? Allowing God to express ourselves through us and staying out of the way. Eric Butterworth said, "I am a child of the universe, richly endowed with the fullness of all good." So what he's saying is each one of us is a creative being, and we can allow God to express through us if that's our choice. If we will step out of that box that we have created for ourselves and allow Spirit to do its work. He also says that when someone asks us what our net worth is, if I were to ask you what your net worth is, well, I only make this. I only do this. I only have this. And he says, what's the only? Why do we choose to limit ourselves by saying that? I only have this. I only make. I remember, of course I'm older than some of you, but I remember thinking when I was a single parent with kids, and I'm thinking, if I could just earn $10,000 a year, I would be set. Well, I earned $10,000 a year, but the cost of living had gone up, and it was like, okay, now, if I could earn $15,000 a year, life would be good. Well, I got there, and then I got to raise the bar a little bit, and finally, I changed my affirmation. I want to earn enough so that I have enough to share and enough to spare. I removed the dollar limit of what it is that I wanted to have. When we appreciate it, and I'm grateful, I'm really grateful for everything that I have. And when we can appreciate what we have, then we're open and ready to receive more. Open and ready to receive all the good that God has in store for us. When we this is it. When we expect to receive good, guess what you're going to get? We're going to get good. When we truly expect to receive it and we don't have that hidden belief somewhere that I don't deserve it, I don't know about you, but many of us, myself included, have those days where we say, if only I could do this, then, I limit my good because I set parameters on it. I set parameters on what I expect, what I think I can have, how good I think I am. I have enough to share and enough to spare, and I am grateful. I am so grateful. How many of you here have taken foundations class? Most of us. So do you remember the seed, the soil, and the plant in foundation class? Right. We learned that if we plant a radish seed into the soil, we get a radish. If we plant corn, we get corn. If we plant positive thoughts, we get positive things in our lives. So when we plant that seed in the soil, in the creative medium, and we nurture it, we give it energy, we give it love. When we weed out the negative thoughts, when we pull the weeds from the garden, we allow that plant to grow until it produces fruit. So what is it that you want to produce in your life? When we let go of the negativity, when we pull those weeds, we allow Spirit to create for us, through us, with us, as us. We get to reap the fruits of our labor. So Florence Scovel Shinn said, "The game of life is the game of boomerangs. Our thoughts, deeds, and words return to us sooner or later with astounding accuracy." Florence wrote The Game of Life and How to Play It. And she told us we can only receive what we can see ourselves receiving. If you can't imagine and you can't see yourself receiving something, you're not going to get it. In this philosophy, we call that our mental equivalent. And that's when we talk about what is my mental equivalent. Can I have as much good as will fit in a thimble, or can I have the whole ocean? What is my mental equivalent? And we don't have to start really big. We can start small because there is no large or small in the eyes of Spirit. And when we see that we've produced whatever it is we put out there that we want, when we have that reinforcement, then we can create greater things. So we are telling ourselves how successful we can be and that it's okay. In Mark 11:24 it says, "Therefore I say unto you, all things whatsoever ye pray and ask for, believe that ye have received them, and ye shall have them." There's no use asking for what we don't believe we can have, is there? You know, the pie in the sky things that we really don't believe in, there's no use asking for that because you're not going to get it if you don't believe it. Your belief is the energy that causes those things to come into being for you. Raymond Hollowell from Working with the Law says, "It is no use to desire a thing unless you expect to get it, either in part or in full. Desire without expectation is idle wishing or dreaming. You simply waste much valuable mental energy in doing this. Desire will put you in touch with the inner world of causes and connect you by invisible means with the substance of the things desired. And then continuous expectation is necessary to bring it into the reality in life." It can be very challenging for some of us to step out of that box that we've created for ourselves, can't it? Because we have set these limits. And so when we step out of that box, we can use our spiritual truths to bring those things, those desires into fruition. Because we truly know we are one with the divine, and if he can create 20, or she can create 20 trillion universes, certainly what we want is not a challenge, is not impossible for the divine. Og Mandino said, "Your only limitations are those you set up in your mind or permit others to set up for you." And how many of us have, well, I can speak for myself, when someone else told me, "No, you can't do that," or "You're probably not up to that," we buy into that. And so we don't do it, and we really could have. We really could have if we had chosen to. So this is a reciprocal universe, and we talk about the law of reciprocity, and the life gives back to us what we put into it. So if we want more love, we need to give more love. If we want more money, we need to give more money. If we want people to be kind to us, we need to give more kindness. It's a reciprocal universe. So if we can, as that great teacher Jesus did, surround people in love, our healing takes place. So it's important to look at what kind of thoughts you're putting into your head. What kind of thoughts are you putting in there? It's said that we don't see things as they are. We see things as we are, acting as we conceive ourselves to be, living in that box we have created for ourselves. That's why I keep saying, step up and step out. It is up to us. It's up to you. It's up to me to discover the truth of who I am. No one else can do it for me. No one else can do it for you. We need to do it for ourselves. Step out of the box. My mom told me once, and I'm sure your mothers did too, or something very similar, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. If you don't want negative things in your life, then don't speak negativity into the air. Don't put negative thoughts into your mind. Release those thoughts. Replace them with a positive affirmation. When those negative thoughts come into your mind, replace them with a positive affirmation of what you choose to be. So what I'd like to ask you to do right now is understand that this universe has an infinite supply available to us. And I want you to close your eyes right now. Take a deep breath and bring to mind and focus on something you really want in your life. Now be sure and focus on what you want and not on what you don't want. See it in your mind's eye and get the full flavor of it. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it taste like? How do I feel? How do I feel when I have that in my life? In other words, what would you feel like if what you are visualizing was yours right here and right now? And hold that thought for just a moment. Just hold it. Okay, take another deep breath and open your eyes and know that you've just planted a seed. And now it's up to you. It's up to you to nurture it. It's up to you to pull those weeds. It's up to you to affirm positively whatever it is that you have chosen that you want in your life. You've planted the seed. And so you get to till your garden and you get to grow whatever it is you want. Dream lofty dreams, we're told. And as you dream, you shall become. Your vision is the promise of what you shall someday be. Your idea is the prophecy of what you shall at last unveil. That's by James Allen. So what we need to do then, and one of the things that I've noticed, I'm just going to share this, in one of the classes I've been teaching, is that we need to focus our energy on what it is we want. And what happens sometimes is we decide this is what we want, and so we start down the path in that direction, and then the squirrel comes along and we move over here, and we decide that this is what we want, and then another one comes by and we turn another direction, and then we wonder how come nothing is coming into our lives. Because the universe doesn't know for sure now what it is we want, because we're not putting our energy into that thing. We have the power within us to have and to be and to become whatever it is that we want. What we need to do is think those positive thoughts, speak those positive words. Keep that vision in front of you so you can create whatever it is from that seed that you just planted. Ernest Holmes told us in The Secrets of Belief, there is a power in the universe greater than you are, greater than I am, greater than any of us, and we can use it. It is something we can use every day in life. When the greatest teacher that ever lived said, "It is done unto you as you believe," what do you think he was talking about? What do you think he was talking about? He was talking about a power that is close to us, nearer than our hands and feet, nearer than our breath. How would we use this power that is near to us? Certainly, we would have to use it in an intimate way, he says, and we have to believe that the power exists, and we have to believe that it is done to us as we believe. What is belief, anyway? What is belief? Is it so hard to believe? Think about this. We believe the sun's going to come up every morning. We believe the sun's going to set every night. We believe here in Alaska that we're going to have snow and that it's going to get cold, don't we? We believe that the grass will grow in the spring. We believe that the trees will fall off, the leaves will fall off the trees in the fall. It's not that hard to believe. And we believe our food will digest, don't we? There's all kinds of things that we believe. It's not hard to believe. And when we believe, we can use that faith, we can use that power to create what it is we want in our lives. The energy that creates is the belief that you have that you can do it. And trust me, you can do it. We've all heard the saying, seeing is believing, haven't we? Many times we've heard that seeing is believing, but the truth of the matter is, believing is seeing. When we can believe it, we can bring it into our awareness. Everything is already there. We're not creating, we're revealing. And all we need to do is to build our, sounds like a simple job, doesn't it? All we need to do is to build that belief. And we do that by the classes we take, by coming to the center, by prayer, by meditation, by affirmation. There's all kinds of ways to grow our belief. And we can start with these little things. You know, I don't know how many of you have taken one of those classes, but the first thing we did was we had a parking place. We were going to park, and you drive up, and there it was. And there it was. And so in Montana, when you go to the hospital, you got to affirm your parking place if you don't want to walk for 2 miles, you know. And I think Providence is kind of like that here, too. You have to affirm that parking place before you get there. But when you actually see it happen, your belief grows. Your belief, if I can do that, then maybe I can do this. And so what I suggest to you is that you take those classes, you read those books, you listen to those tapes, you affirm your good, and you create what you believe. So I have an affirmation, and I'm going to say it once, and then we're going to say it together. I am grateful to be an open vessel, ready to accept the blessings of the universe. I am grateful to be an open vessel, ready to accept the blessings of the universe. And so it is. So I'd like to now ask you to please join me in prayer. Sweet, sweet Spirit, Father, Mother, God, that divine and holy essence in which we live and breathe and have our being. That divine power that is known by so many names, the Great Spirit, Wonkin Tonkin. Many, many, light, love, peace, joy, abundance. God, the good, omnipotent. God who is ever present. God who breathes us. Knowing that each one of us is one with that divine presence, we live and breathe and have our being experiencing the divinity of the Spirit. One with light, one with love, one with prosperity, one with abundance, one with health and wholeness. There's absolutely nothing outside of God. And we are individualized expressions of it. So as I speak my word this day, I know that each of us goes forth from here, planting the seeds and reaping the harvest of the good that wants to express. It's waiting. God is waiting for us. Just waiting for us to bring into expression the good that is ever available to us. So as we move through this week, we acknowledge the divine within one another. We acknowledge the divine abundance that is ours. we breathe in that powerful presence of Spirit, and its healing energy flows through every cell and fiber of our being, and we give thanks. It is with gratitude that we acknowledge our oneness with Spirit. It is with gratitude that we open our hearts and our minds and our hands to receive that good that God has for us. As we release this word to the perfect working of the perfect law that always, always, and only says yes, please join me in affirming, and so it is. Amen.